Team deathmatch. Let's do this.
Hey everyone, Team Left Match here, and today I'm gonna be starting a new small sub-series which I call What Could It Be Like? And here I just talk about what could an upcoming game be like, what can we expect from it, what it might include, stuff like that. And today I'm gonna start the first episode off with Homefront 2. And you guys may have noticed this, but I do seem to be a little defensive of the game. I consider it underrated, so now I'm just gonna unleash the whole package. I'm gonna tell you why it's really underrated. Well, first of all, people have said that the graphics of this game are pretty bad, but I actually find them to be pretty good. And they have a lot of texture in them, so like a lot of games these days, they tend to have really bland textures, but Homefront does seem to do a good job with them. I also like the lighting effects, like as you can see here as I'm running through the map, the lighting is pretty good. The sound and gameplay, though, I have to admit, is pretty ordinary. I feel like the gameplay is like COD because it has the same controls, almost plays the same. But it's not completely COD. Like you'll feel like the multiplayer portion of the game is similar to Battlefield, big maps, vehicles rolling everywhere. And also, Homefront should deserve a lot of credit for its story because it tells the story of how America falls, and it's a pretty accurate description. And plus, Kim Jong-il died, and some Kim Jong-un's taking power. It was this event that many people started to visit Homefront pages, and they kept saying, "Oh my God, it's gonna happen." And the game has a slight increase in its popularity because, well, we can relate to the storyline. And what else do I have to compare? Oh yeah, lasting appeal. I have to admit the campaign was inexcusably short, but the thing is, it was pretty hard, so it would take us a while to complete. And the multiplayer, though, I have found it to be pretty addicting. It was a perfect balance between multiplayer and it was a perfect balance between Call of Duty and Battlefield. And even though the reviewers they said it was okay and all, on average they reviewed Homefront as a 7.5 game if you take the average of its review scores. But many people liked it. They realized that it wasn't perfect and all, but it might have had lacked some ambition, but it was pretty consistent for the most part. And a lot of people loved it. Machinima Respawn liked it and all. And the sad thing is that Homefront was everyone thought that it might have a little bit of potential to at least compare to Call of Duty, Battlefield, the king first-person shooters, but then they found out that Homefront is just the average game you take out of it's average first-person shooter that you take out of the market. But I say Homefront is the first-person shooter that's, although average, but it has an amazing story, and its multiplayer gameplay has been really, really addictive, and it just really works really well. So anyway, let's focus on the thing on what Homefront 2 could be like. I recently discovered that Crytek, who developed Crysis 2, Far Cry, and Time Splitters, is going to be developing Homefront 2, and I found it surprising. I didn't really think that a game with that was rated a 7.5 on average would even get a sequel, but it seems that people still liked it a lot. That Crytek was heh, why not? And you know why I'm really excited? Well, if they develop Crysis 2, then we can assume that Homefront 2 is going to have a lot of potential. First of all, they might increase the length of the campaign. They might not make it really short. They might make it pretty long. Crysis 2 had a long campaign, and if they're going to be using CryEngine 3, which is one of the best video game engines ever created, well, we can assume Homefront 2 is going to have really good graphics, maybe just as good as Crysis 2's, and maybe the gameplay will increase slightly better. And oh yeah, I forgot to mention, in this game I have a 29 to 13 kill streak. At one point I do die a lot, but that's because the enemy team had a tank and all. I don't really like to use vehicles in Homefront and all, but it's 13 deaths compared to 29 kills. That's one of the best matches I have ever played in my life in video gaming. So back to Homefront 2. For gameplay, I suspect that they might just fix any glitches. Not that Homefront one had any major glitches. People were talking about that Sprint was really slow compared to other games where you sprint very fast. But the thing is that it's realistic. I mean, and military soldiers are carrying lots of gears. They're carrying weapons, which, like, I know they look light and all in a first-person shooter, but they're really heavy. So I don't think they're going to be super speeding along their way across the battlefield. But like, I've actually found Homefront sprinting mode to be like really realistic, perhaps the most realistic of like any first-person shooter military game. Okay, and for story, I don't know what we can expect for the story because the game ends with the character Connor sacrificing himself by ordering an airstrike on his position to kill many Korean forces. I don't know if the main playable character Robert Jacobs was killed in the blast, but if he doesn't, maybe we might be playing as him in the next game. And in the end of Homefront, you hear that the European Union has decided to help America, and you see the Greater Korean Republic was originally North Korea and South Korea combined, but then they began to like conquer many other countries, and like they formed a big empire. Like they had a lot of Far Eastern countries like Laos, Philippines, Malaysia, stuff like that. Oh yeah, and Thailand. So I think that based on these large number of countries, we might have another World War III scenario, which seems to be like a recurring gag in like many first-person shooter military games. And I think that in the game you might be playing as Robert, or like or maybe a soldier or another resistance fighter, and what you are going to do is maybe like take back America once and for all, or maybe you're releasing a counterattack on the Greater Korean Republic. You're gonna go to North Korea and maybe assassinate Kim Jong-un, something like that. Story, it doesn't really, we can't really assume what the story is gonna be because we don't really end on a cliffhanger, but like it just like the story of Homefront just ends, so like there doesn't seem to be room for a possible sequel because it looks like American forces are winning. So like, but the thing is, Homefront is a game where Americans were losing, and if Americans were winning, maybe the story might not be so fun anymore, or maybe that, I don't know, we just can't assume the story. As for other things, I've also found Homefront sound to be average, strictly average. The music's okay, and the voice acting is not top-notch, but it gets you through. So I'm assuming maybe that once Crytek starts developing Homefront, they might find better voice actors. They might compose music a little better, maybe like Crysis 2's musical score and sound effects, stuff like that. For multiplayer, I can probably assume they're gonna add more weapons. They might just like tweak some multiplayer abilities. Maybe they'll add, you know, more perks, and maybe they'll add more vehicles, maybe stuff like fighter jets. What I think they have to add is like more game modes. Homefront had like 2 main game modes, which was a team deathmatch and ground war, which is like domination, where you have to control various points until time runs out. And it didn't have like a free-for-all, capture the flag, assault, things like that. But to be honest, games like Battlefield don't really work out with free-for-all and capture the flag, stuff like that. They tend to focus more on ground control and team deathmatch, because remember, like Battlefield, Homefront's multiplayer centers on fighting in a realistic war zone with big teams. So I don't think that we're going to be having a free-for-all anytime soon, unless they develop smaller end maps. So anyway, this is just giving you a brief idea on what Homefront 2 could be like. I have high hopes for the game, and I really think you should try the game. Maybe just rent it, buy a used copy, but maybe the price has gone down, so like, even though Homefront 1 does have a short campaign, it does have a really addictive multiplayer, and if you're the guy who likes big teams and big maps and familiar gameplay, then Homefront is for you. I'm gonna tell you, it's far from being an amazing shooter, but it's still a very good shooter. I guess we can settle on that. And I can't wait to see what Crytek is going to develop with the game, because Homefront 1 has a good story. So once they combine good story with more improved gameplay, then I guess we're going to have a top-notch, or at least great shooter. So, Team Left Match out.
on data stream. Fox 1. Hit confirmed. Repeat. Hit confirmed. Fox 2. Hellfire away.